Welcome to the seventh and likely final tutorial on the Intellijel Shapeshifter by Intellijel. This tutorial we're going to be covering preset mode. Now the basic idea of preset mode is that the parameters on the panel can be stored in memory and recalled at the push of a button. If I've done anything in this tutorial series, it's shown that preset mode is not really the primary focus of the module, and there's a lot of hands-on knob turning. And the presets are kind of just a nice way to, for instance, save a patch that you really like, or to set up a performance scenario where you have several patches stored that you can quickly switch between. Or as I'll show in this video, there's some extras you can kind of tease out of preset mode. First thing we should look at is how to get to preset mode. We looked at this in tutorial 1, but I'll recap right now. To get to preset mode, you'll press the encoder in. You'll see the red LED lights up, meaning all of these red indications on the module are now active. We can select a preset by scrolling through using the encoder. You can see there's 12 that are titled user preset, which means that when you save to them, they'll be saved when you power off the module and power it back on. And then there are a remaining 13 through number 64 that just say preset. And these are factory presets. You can use them and write over them while the module is on, but once you reset it, it will go back to the factory preset. They're good for use as a scratch pad while the module is powered on. So we'll go ahead and choose a preset here, say, I don't know, 30, and to recall it, we'll press the load button, and it says loaded 30. And now let's take a listen to this. This is output 1. And you'll notice that a lot of these presets actually have different sounds loaded for outputs 1 and 2, and then of course the pulse has its own unique sound. So let's listen to output 2. And then the pulse output. As explained in the first tutorial, whatever is saved in preset slot 1, user preset 1, is what will default to when your power is reset. Tutorial 1 of this series explained how to set up, in my opinion, a good default patch, but you could certainly at this point, once you know your way around the module, set up any patch that you like to come to right when you start off. Here's one use of preset mode. In one of the previous tutorials, we looked at the shapeshifter's ability to interpolate between 8 different wave types in each bank. And it does that very nicely using the shape knobs. But what if we wanted to interpolate between 2 different waveforms that are not in the same bank? That's not possible to do just using the shape knobs. We're going to have to resort to preset mode. So let's start off by just making a quick preset here. Let's just kind of pick one at random, like that one. Let's go ahead and set that as a preset. So we're going to enter preset mode. I'm going to scroll to a location where I want to save it, say preset 13. I'm going to press the save button, choose yes, press save again, and now we've saved 13 as a preset. Now I'm going to go ahead and exit that, and let's come up with some contrast to this. Let's pick something that's not like this sound. Let's first scroll to a different waveform here. Different bank, so the flute sound possibly. Maybe we can turn it into chord mode and use that chord. Maybe a little bit of FM. Maybe we can detune it a bit. Something like this, yeah. Let's go into preset mode, and now what we're going to choose is the Morph button. Under Morph, Morph gives us the ability to use the mod B knob here to interpolate between our preset on the right and our panel settings on the left. So here's our preset, preset 13, the first one that we made. And now here's our panel, the one that we just created. And as we scroll through this, we can hear interpolated values. Now this mod B or morph parameter is actually, we're able to address this through the mod B input here. So we can take, for instance, like a triangle wave from our LFO, making sure we turn up the attenuator right here for it, and you can see we're getting some CV influence over this knob position. So let's take a listen. So you can imagine you can create some really long, evolving drones that interpolate between the panel settings and a preset. And it's nice because it's not crossfading between them. It's actually finding new values to go from one to the next. And in that way, it can create some pretty wild, brand new sounds somewhere in the middle here. So a pretty useful mode, Morph, and the ability to address that through the mod V parameter. We can continue looking at the morph parameter here. It's still on morph. I got there by pressing the morph button. And look at its ability to let us audition very quickly all of our current presets. So right now it's set to panel, but if I put this to preset, we listen to it, it lets us very quickly scroll through with encoder here all of the presets without having to click load each time to load it. And just to double check, we can still morph this to our panel preset. You can hear how extreme that interpolation is. So using Morph and having the Morph knob all the way to preset is a really quick way to listen to all of your presets. So a note about loading presets. I'm going to go back to preset number 13 that I made. Let's take a listen. When we load a preset, the traditional way of loading that on this is to press the load button, and you'll say loaded 13. Now, what happens is if we were to, for instance, change some of the panel settings like this, and we'll load, let's load 13 again, what happens is, even though we changed the panel settings and we just recalled the preset, you'll hear that the preset is actually exactly how we made it, and even though all the panel controls are different. For instance, the shape knob is the one thing that we just changed here. And you'll notice if I move this, that it's not doing anything, and that's because it has what they call a soft pickup, meaning that until I position this exactly where the preset remembers it, it's actually not going to make any change. So I need to kind of sweep this around until I found it, and it was down in this region. So once I find it, then it's active again. Additionally, not all of the parameters are stored in the presets. Fold is not stored, it's a separate circuit, and the coarse and fine tuning are also not stored as presets. Probably the most interesting use of preset mode is to use it in what is called the step mode. It's like a little preset sequencer. The way this works is it takes an input into the sync input here, and based on our selections in the menu here, we can make it step through the presets. So let's give it a try. First, we'll press the step button, and you can see that there's several options that we can scroll through with the encoder. We can have it step forward, go backwards, go forward and backwards. We have it randomly select presets. And then importantly, we can, I'm going to skip mod B for a second, we can tell it where it begins, on which preset number, and where it ends, and then the division of the clock coming into the sync input here. So let's start with the beginning and ending here. I'm going to choose to change the beginning. It won't start on preset 1, and the way you choose that is you press the step button one more time, and you'll see a little question mark. When do you want it to begin? And we can choose, I'm going to choose a higher number like 20, and confirm that with the step button here. Okay, and then let's choose an ending. Let's press that again. It says, where do you want it to end? And let's choose, I don't know, like 26, something like that, and confirm it by pressing step again. Now, let's go back to just regular forward, and we can press the step button here, And you'll see there's a little asterisk that will light up telling you that on every impulse here going into the sync, it's going to be stepping forward. And let's take a listen. Note too that the sync input here can handle really fast clock signals, and you can actually step through these presets at audio rate. And if I plug it into an oscillator up here, here's an interesting use of preset mode. In the previous tutorial, I noted the problem with not being able to access different chords using CV. You can get around that by making different chords into different presets and then accessing those presets with CV. It's not perfect, but it is one way to get around that issue. So here's what I've got set up. I have two presets loaded into preset 13 and preset 14. Here's what 13 sounds like. And 14. So it's two different chords, and they're loaded in adjacent presets. And we can step through those using the step mode here, making sure that our beginning step is set to the correct value, which would be 13, and that the ending step would be on 14, meaning we just have two steps. Now we can put this into, say, forward mode here and play through this. As an example, I'm going to be taking two signals here. Both are coming from the Woggle Bug. The first one here is going to be our clock going into the sync, and the second one is going into our fundamental, the pitch input. What this will be doing is it will be changing the fundamental of the chord and flip-flopping between the type of chord that's being chosen. So I'm going to turn on forward by pressing step here, and you can see it's going a little fast there. Let's take a listen. Another way we could cycle through these chords, instead of going forward through them, is to use the mod B input. So on every sync input, it will choose which preset to play back based on the mod B position. So in this case, we have only two presets, and it divides this entire knob space into the number of presets available, and that's 2 in this case. So anything past the midway point to the left is going to be playing preset 13. Anything to the right will be preset 14. So let's take a listen. So those are all our minor sevenths. Now all major sevenths. Now what makes this really cool is that we can address this knob position via the mod B input, just like we did before, and send a signal into here to tell it exactly which chord to play. Now in this case I only have two chords and therefore only like two basic knob positions, but if we were to choose, say, 64 presets, it would divide this knob space into 64 different increments, and you could theoretically trigger any one of those arbitrarily based on your mod B CV. For now, I'm going to send it just a triangle wave into mod B, turning up the attenuator, and show you that we can choose between these different chords based on the mod B input. Here's an example showing how we can use self-patching into the mod B input using mod B step mode to let the module kind of choose for itself its own destiny in that way. Coming out of oscillator 2, we're going straight into mod B, so the preset for oscillator 2 is actually influencing the knob position and therefore choosing the next preset. So here's what that sounds like. So here's an interesting use of preset mode and the step mode to get a basic sequencer out of the shapeshifter. Now remember I said that the coarse and fine tuning knobs actually aren't saved in the presets, but the ratio is, which means that we can take the output of oscillator 2, set different ratio values, and we can come up with a melodic sequencer once we start sending it a sync input using the step mode. So let's go into Morph right here, and I have the Morph knob all the way hard right, so we're listening to the presets. I'm just going to audition the presets I've made for you to show you what they sound like. Okay, and that's where I've ended. I'm going to make 2 more presets here, and then we'll start playing the sequence. So to make the presets, I first need to exit preset mode and come back into it. So now I'm listening to preset 18, and now I can just kind of eyeballing it there. I'm going to make some changes to the shape of that one, and we'll save this as preset 19, which is the next sequential one. And then the final pitch we'll save as 20. I'll make another change to the shape there. Save. Okay, let's go back to Morph and listen to all of my steps. So starting at 13. And 19's a little rough there, but that's okay. Now we're going to take a clock output here, go into the sync input, and we'll go to the step settings here. We'll just go forward first, but first we need to set our beginning and ending. So we're beginning at 13, and we're ending on 20 this time. Okay, now let's listen to this going forward. Now just for fun, I'll go into the fold input here, come out of the fold output. And just to demonstrate the different modes we have going here, we have forward like we were just listening to, but we also have the ability to live switch the direction. So we're going forward, we can go reverse, forward and reverse, and then random. And then of course we have the mod B, which lets us set the preset based on knob position. Here's another use. Instead of sequencing audio rate stuff coming out of the oscillators, we can use oscillator 2 in LFO mode, and we can sequence multiple LFOs, which is kind of cool. So let's check out. I've made 3 already, 3 presets, 13, 14, 15. So again, we'll go to Morph, make sure this is on preset, and we'll audition those. Like the previous tutorials, I just have a noise source going into a VCA, and that's what this is going to be shaping. It's going to be changing the VCA. So this is preset 13, preset 14, preset 15. So let's go ahead and make an additional preset. Let's change the rate of that. Let's change the oscillator for output 2. That's nice. This is a contrast. We'll go ahead and save that. Preset 16, which is the next one. Save yes. And now we'll go into the step mode, and we'll put it in, well, first we need to set the beginning. The beginning is going to be 13. The end, though, is going to be 16. Is that right? 13, 14, 15, 16. And we can go to forward. I just have a clock coming out of the LFO again. And when I press step, okay, the last feature of preset mode here that we haven't looked at is the clock divider. You can see I have a sequence running through all of these presets quite fast. I'll let it keep running. And you can see as we go through this, it will stop running once I get past the different modes. And when we get to the clock divider here, it can press step. Basically, it's looking at the number of impulses coming in the sync input here. We can change it to look for 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 8, I think, before it will change. So I'll step it up to 3 just so you'll hear the change. Confirm that. Let's go back to... And I think it goes all the way up to 8. Yeah, if you want to do that. And with that, we've come to the end of the tutorial series. I just want to thank a number of people who've helped critique this and give me feedback. Of course, all of the folks at Intellijel, including Daniel and Jim Clark, have been super helpful. I want to thank the Eurorack community at muffwiggler.com, and yeah, all the support and feedback here on YouTube, so I appreciate it. And should I do another tutorial series in the future? I hope to see you there. Thanks.